welcome everyone to another episode of Faith Unaltered. I am one of your co-hosts this evening, Tyler Fowler. With me is my good buddy and brother from Canada, Mr. Dale Glover, and we decided to put on an open mic for y'all tonight. I'm bored. I'm sitting at the house by my lonesome, and so the wife and the kids, they're out at their grandparents' house, my in-laws' house. And so I'm just sitting here around the house being all bored and just like, what can I do? What can I do? And I was like, hey, Dale, let's do an open mic tonight. He's like, let's do it. And so here we are. So, Dale, welcome, brother. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was having a good time. I just watched the sunset as I was having a swim at the Mediterranean there.
I see that.
So that's Tel Aviv there, beach. So, yeah, I figured, what the heck, I'm going to be bored now too. So let's do an open mic. And,
broadcasting live from Israel, you have Dale Glover. So welcome, sir. I'm glad the lag isn't too crazy for us. We can still stream. Thank God for the internet, right? So I hope you're enjoying Jerusalem and Israel, sir.
Exactly. It is the Holy Land. So, yeah, I'm hearing everything loud and clear.
Dale's lying. He's in Canada right now. But that picture is from Tel Aviv, I do believe. Is that right, Dale?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right on, brother. Right on. So everybody knows how open mics work here. If you've got questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. We had a really good discussion last night on Cosmic Corner with Josh. We actually got to give the gospel to a first-timer. She has never heard of Faith Unaltered, just randomly found us. She asked if she could be saved. We told her absolutely, the gospel's for everybody. And that, you can watch that.
Cosmic Corner? Wow.
This was on Cosmic Corner. Yeah, she just kind of popped in. She was like, hey, I want to learn about God. I have this condition. I have autism. And that hits me, really, really hard, because we're getting my little girl tested very soon to see if she's on the spectrum. And she said, given my medical condition, can I be saved? And I said, absolutely. I said, that's not a disqualifier. Like, nobody is disqualified unless you've committed blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. Like, you're not disqualified from being saved. And if you're concerned about whether having committed that sin or not, chances are you probably haven't anyway. And so we got to give her the good news, and it was a good time.
So that's amazing. I haven't had time. I promised Josh I would watch it today, but I just haven't had time. I've been busy doing stuff. But I'm definitely going to have to check that out now. And I think that's proof. I remember a few years ago, I forget her name. She was going around. She's an atheist. She was on Unbelievable, Skeptics and Seekers. I think her first name's Erin. Mm-hmm. But she was going around talking about how, well, I'm on the spectrum. Therefore, for us, belief in God, we naturally can't believe in God and stuff like this. But obviously, there's so many people. We had Nick Peters. I think it was on your show, actually. It was on Pora. Where Nick Peters and her were talking. And Nick Peters saying, look, I'm on the spectrum too, and I believe, have no problem. We've had our mutual friend Louis Dees on who he has Asperger's and stuff like that, and he's a hardcore believer. He was just on refuting Dr. Bart Ehrman yesterday on Reason and Theology there. So, that's amazing. I got to see that. So, that's awesome.
Well, you can see her interacting in the live chat. I think it's about halfway through the video she comes on, and then we start addressing questions, the questions that she's asking. And so I thought it was a good time, man. I really do.
Do you mind if sorry, I don't want to derail the show, but I'm just curious.
It's open mic. Talk about whatever you want.
What kind of questions did she ask? And what was it that finally clicked where she's like, I want to commit? Like, how did that happen?
So we didn't get a commitment, right? She basically found the live stream. She said, hey, can I learn about God here? And we said, you stumbled into the right place. I had never seen this name in my life. It was Autism Girl 1995. That was her handle that she was going by. And she said, look, I'm on the spectrum. I want to know, will God accept me? That was the question that she asked. And so we took probably, 15, 20 minutes just engaging with that question. We had like 5 people on the round. No, by the time she got here, we had like 4 people on the round table last night. And we all just really interacted with that question. She said, that makes so much sense. Thank you. I told her to get in touch with a pastor and a priest. And if you want to commit, like, that would be your next step, because a local church is going to be the place that's going to help you out the most at this point. If you're inquiring into this, that will be the place. But I gave her my email. that if she had any more questions, she could email us. But yeah, it was a really good discussion.
That's awesome. Good stuff. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. So for our audience members, y'all, if you want to join us, again, it's open mic, so that means anybody can join us. I am going to put, for the time being anyway, I'll have to watch the live chat, okay? Because I can't put this in the description yet. If I do, I'll have to end the stream, and I just don't like, you can't edit your description on YouTube while you're live streaming on StreamYard. They haven't figured that out yet for some reason. But what I will do is post the link to join us in the live chat. Bam, there it is. So if you would like to join us on the live chat, then come over, click the link, and we will let you in, talk about whatever you want to. If you have questions for us, please feel free to put them in the live chat. Also, super chat us. They will get priority over the rest of the questions. And I think that's about it. You also, if you want to donate to our ministry, please feel free to do that. Prayerfully consider doing that. You can donate one of three ways: Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. And the other way that you can financially support us is through super chats, super stickers. At the bottom of the video that you're watching now, you'll see a little $sign. Click that $sign, and then follow the directions on screen. And you can pick whatever you want to chat or whatever you want to donate, whether it be $2, whether it be $100. You're totally in the driver's seat whenever it comes to that. So,
all right. So the first thing we have kind of lined up, believe it or not, is a collaboration that Tyler did with Harry Stark, who's well known on my channel, Real Seekers. And Tyler and Harry worked on a little short 7-minute video talking about kind of a allegory, famous video game, Haven, that's an allegory for Christian, the gospel message, basically. So I guess we can play that and talk about that. So yeah,
here we go. Whoa! You must have clicked it too, didn't you? Welcome to Haven.
You go ahead and click.
All right, I got you. The allegory. Yo, what? We're gonna get this here in just a second. Go ahead, finish your thought, Dale. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'll sit down on the beach here and enjoy. So
drink a martini, and we'll be back with you all in 7 minutes. The allegories in Haven, Call of the King. Haven, Call of the King is a video game for the PlayStation 2. The game was developed by John Burton, who is the CEO of TT Games and his team. The game is an allegory of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ from the New Testament and has references to the Narnia books by the Christian philosopher C.S. Lewis. The game outlines the protagonist's quest to stop the evil antagonist Vetch. Vetch is a play on witch, which references the evil witch in the Narnia books, who is in turn representing the devil. The character design of Vetch with his spiky horns cloaked in darkness also represents the devil, the embodiment of evil. The antagonist Vetch created a virus to infect the local inhabitants and drive them out of the Golden City in the game. This references how Adam and Eve were tempted into sin by the devil and were driven out of paradise in the book of Genesis. The virus of Vetch causes the local inhabitants to die. This references Romans 6:23, which reads, quote, "For the wages of sin is death," end quote. The local inhabitants' slavery to Vetch references John 8:34-36, which reads, quote, "Everyone who sins is a slave to sin," end quote. It also represents how all human beings were destined to hell before Jesus conquered death. The character Athelion is a play on the lion, which references the lion Aslan from the Narnia books, which is in turn an allegory of Jesus Christ. When Athelion willingly sacrificed himself to save the life of the protagonist, it references how Jesus Christ willingly sacrificed himself to save mankind from the clutches of the devil and to give mankind eternal life by atoning for our sins on the cross. The sounding of the bell in the Mount of Sighs represents the sounding of the trumpet on Mount Sinai to cause the Lord's presence to enter. This references Exodus 19:19-20, which reads, quote, And when the blast of the trumpet sounded long and became louder and louder, the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai. End of quote. The sounding of the bell to make Athelion appear also represents how a trumpet will be sounded during the second coming of Jesus Christ, according to the book of Revelation. Revelation 11:15 reads, quote, "Then the seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, 'The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever.'" End quote. The character Dasus is the traitor that resulted in the world's downfall in the game. The name Dasus is a play on Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus and later died by suicide. When Athelion is murdered by Vetch in front of a rock, giving Vetch ability to rule the world for all of eternity, it represents how the witch thought she had won when the lion Aslan was murdered in the Narnia books, and how the devil thought he had won when Jesus died on the cross. In reality, Jesus' death on the cross was instrumental in the defeat of the devil by atoning for our sins on the cross. Jesus then went into hell and rescued the souls there and opened up heaven, so that whoever accepts Jesus' free gift of salvation will acquire eternal life. The golden city in the game represents heaven and paradise. The title of the game, Haven, is a play on heaven. The phrase Call of the King in the title represents Revelation 19:16, where Jesus is referred to as, quote, "King of Kings and Lord of Lords," end quote, which indicates how Jesus is the true King of the world. Most scholars accept the following historical facts about Jesus. 1. Jesus was crucified by Pontius Pilate and placed in a tomb. 2. The next day, the tomb was empty. 3. The apostles had experiences with the risen Jesus, which even convinced the enemy James. 4. The apostles were persecuted for their experiences with the risen Jesus. 5. The apostles were martyred for their experiences with the risen Jesus. Was the resurrection of Jesus a later construction? The answer is no, since the Corinthian Creed is dated to the same year as the events transpired, and the New Testament was written the same century as the events transpired. Did the apostles make up the resurrection? The answer is no. The apostles were persecuted, tortured, and finally martyred for their experiences of the risen Jesus. For example, the apostle Paul had power when he was a religious Jew, and lost power when he became a Christian. Therefore, the apostle Paul was sincere. Was the resurrection of Jesus a hallucination? The answer is no. If it was hallucination, then the body should have been in the tomb. Since the tomb was empty, it is impossible for the resurrection to have been a hallucination. The only explanation that can account for all 5 of the facts is that the apostles were sincere about their experiences and that Jesus really was resurrected from the dead. By accepting Jesus Christ as Lord and what Jesus did on the cross for you, you will have eternal life. The Jewish scholar Pinchas Lapid said the following, quote, "I accept the resurrection of Easter Sunday as a historical event," end quote. His final position was that people need Jesus to enter heaven. The historian Mike Licona said the following, quote, "I assessed it as very probable that Jesus rose from the dead, based on the fact that the resurrection hypothesis explains the knowable data in a manner that is so superior to competing hypotheses," end quote. The Jewish scholar Rochmiel Friedland said the following, quote, "I prayed and asked the Messiah Jesus to become my atonement and Savior," end quote. He accepted Jesus as Messiah and Savior. Christianity is true, for real. For more information, go to the website coldcasechristianity.com and the website crossexamined.org. So, there we are.
There we go. Oh,
So if I would have known he was going to edit like that, so here's what I did, y'all. I did that all in 2 takes, right? Sent it over to him, edited it, or, well, back up. I did it in 2 takes. I missed the first line of the entire thing, and because I thought it was the title of the paper. And I just started. He goes, "Hey, bro, you missed that first line." I was like, "Oh man, let me record that." I said, "Do I need to record that or record the entire thing again?" He goes, "Just record that line. I'll edit it." I said, "Okay, cool." And so I did that take, and then I did the entire take, right? But if I would have known he was going to edit it, I would have took the "for real" out, or I would have made it like a little bit different than what I did, because it kind of sounds a little silly the way you hear it and the way it's edited, like post-production. So I was just like, man, that sounded a little cheesy to me, but it's all good. It is what it is.
no, that is you, right? He wanted you to as the voice there, kind of thing. So, yeah, that's the Tyler Fowler interpretation stamp of approval there.
Well,
Just
that technically, real quick, Del, real quick. Technically, so I emailed Harry and I asked, "Is there a specific way you want me to read this?" And he said, "Just be formal, like be formal about it." And I said, "Okay, like cool." And so I did. That's what I thought formal sounded like. But I thought it turned out really good. Overall, I thought it was great. So I thought he did a really good job editing it and then lining my my take with everything that he was doing. Like that, he was good. He's good.
yeah, and so just so the audience knows, who is the guy that made this? This isn't his real name, but this is the
Right.
alias he wants to be known by, Harry Stark, right? And, for fans of Real Seekers, this is not his first time. He's done multiple short little videos on various topics on my channel. He's been on S.G. Thomason's channel. He's been around on a bunch of different places, and he's also trying to get the word out, the gospel out, because he's not from England. He's actually a scientist, a biologist, professional PhD biologist there, I think, or maybe his master's. I forget which one now. But yeah, he's an actual scientist. He's a Christian apologist, and he's actually been sharing the gospel in non-English speaking countries. So, for example, he's been taking my own shroud work, and he actually got my work kind of summarized and stuff, published in some kind of Swedish atheist journal or something. So he was telling me all about how the atheists, that it's totally new to them, and they're freaking out that there's actual scientific evidence for Christianity and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much to Harry Stark for putting together these little short videos and stuff. So yeah, great work. And if only Tyler's voice. I don't know, but we have to put up with that. But I'm just kidding.
Hey, everybody always said that I had a face for radio, so there you go. It is what it is. I guess I got that golden voice. I mean, I could never sing, so I just said, "Hey, I'll talk," and maybe people like it, maybe they won't. Let me know in the comment section if you like the video.
Like right there. So
I did. We got a love. It was a heart. So if you are just tuning in with us, we are doing an open mic, and I did figure out how to post the link in the description. So I got to go to YouTube. Who would have thought that? I got to go to YouTube and then edit it in the studio, edit the description. So I did get the video, or I did get the link to join us in the description. It is also, I will pin it. So it's in the live chat right now, but I will pin it to the top here in just a second. So if you'd like to join us, hop on with us. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Dell has some stuff that he wants to talk about. It's going to take a little bit longer than something that I want to bring up real quick. And so Dell, I'm gonna shoehorn, I don't think it's the right word. I think I'm gonna just trump you as the host of Faith Unaltered and be like, look, you wait, I'm gonna say my piece first, and then we'll bring you on here in a second. Is that okay with you, Dell?
It is okay, but
All right.
I just want you to remember, you've officially taken me back as a host, so maybe I'm a sub-host.
Well, yeah, I mean, as the owner, like one of 2 owners, right? Like I trump everybody besides David. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and talk. click the end screen button as you speak. But,
That's right. That's right. No, I'm just messing with you. But no, because what I want to talk about is a little bit shorter. I think we'll be on my topic a little bit less, so I do want to bring that up first.
before we get into
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
are we set in terms of the Harry Stark video? Is there anything else? Because I'm not a big video game.
Well,
like, I've never played the game, or is there anything we should say about that? Or
that's a good point. So I never heard of the video game before. So I was a big PS2 guy back whenever PS2 was the thing, right? And from my understanding, so I never heard of it. I don't remember this game thinking back like to when I played PS2. And so I did some research on it actually today before we got on here. And apparently this game flopped big time. There were supposed to be like it was supposed to be a trilogy apparently. And because not only the critique of it, so from your game critics, but just commercially, this game did not do well at all. It was played up to be this next big thing, right? They were going to put so many different types of and I'm not good with video game lingo, but they were going to make this game to be different on a big scale compared to the other PS2 games that were out and about. And it just did not live up to the hype that people gave it in the beginning. Now, the cool thing, I think, and maybe this was part of it a little bit, but the designers and the mods for this game, or admins, or whatever you call them. Like I said, I'm not good with video game lingo. Y'all forgive me. But the developers, the people who created the game, did advertise this game as having Christian undertones to it, Christian allegory, different things like that, associated with it. So like I described in the video that we just played for y'all, that stuff came out from the developers themselves. And maybe that had something to do with it not being well received. I don't know. But I do know that whenever, unless there's a game that I'm not thinking of, anytime somebody's pushed a game with Christian allegory, or just anytime it's labeled like a Christian video game, it doesn't seem to do as well as other video games do. If you disagree with that, please let me know in the comments. Let me know a video game that has actually done very well being promoted as a Christian video game. Or with Christian allegories into it. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I thought that there were, looking at the gameplay on it, it would be something that I would play. But other than that, that's really all I have to say about it.
Yeah, same here. I'd never heard of the game and that sort of thing. I did have PS2 and I played a few games and stuff like that. But to be honest, my video game phase was mostly like Nintendo 64 era, like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina.
Yeah.
That's my game.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like so, the Nintendo 64 era was like the last time I was like really into games. PS2 is like cool. I'll play games and stuff like that. University days,
right?
Stuff. But yeah. So like I'd never heard of this game, but I support. I think it's great, right? So I've had people like Guy Powell. He wrote a book. He published a book on the Shroud of Turin, but it's not straightforward. Usually, Shroud books are like straight history, straight science, nonfiction type things. He's written fiction books, right? So it's appealing to a different type of person to share the knowledge. Or Hollywood actor Rob Schneider. He's making a Hollywood blockbuster movie on the Shroud of Turin, or trying to like that. That'll speak to different people and stuff. And now having the Christian gospel message in a video game, I think that was a brilliant idea. Whether it failed or not, I think that was a great idea, and we should try again. Now, I think it would be a lot more successful today, believe it or not, today than it was back in the early 2000s, just because of how great. I mean, we have Richard Dawkins, who's now a cultural Christian. People are starting to appreciate Christianity more. So, yeah, and I see Kevin has a kind of a related question about Noah the movie. Now, is that the Russell Crowe thing from like years ago? Or
I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
So I didn't see the movie myself. From my understanding, it wasn't like a biblically faithful movie. It had like monsters crawling around and different stuff. So like I just had zero interest in seeing it. And Yeah. What did you think of it?
So any time that I've really seen Hollywood try to recreate something biblical, it's always been a failure to me. Now, granted, they got the boat right, they got the ark, and they got the global flood right, but they tried to spice it up, right? You have, let me see if I can find them real quick. The movie was called Noah, and what you were talking about, the monsters. Let me show you what they portrayed the Nephilim to be like in this movie. They were like rock monsters. I don't know if y'all have ever seen VeggieTales, but there's a VeggieTale video. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here it is. But there's a video from VeggieTales that I forget what Bible story they were telling, but they had rock monsters in here, and they did a little song with them, like a beach song. Dale, would probably go good with you and your thing. I'll find the video and I'll play it here in just a second. But here's the clip. This is what the Watchers and the Nephilim look like. Now, we believe, so I would hold that the Watchers would be more angelic, more spiritual in nature, not necessarily have a body per se, because see, here's the thing. Genesis doesn't necessarily say that, I don't think anyway, off the top of my head, correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, but I don't think that the Watchers are the ones that came down, according to Genesis, came down and basically impregnated human women, right? I know people take that to Genesis 6 to mean either like angels did that, or the sons of Cain got with the sons of Seth, and I would be more on the supernatural side of that interpretation personally. But the point is that I think they portrayed this completely wrong. So here's the video clip from Noah. Let me share my screen. And this is the Watcher, and then I'll play the clip from VeggieTales that makes me think of this. So here we go.
Creator formed us on the second day, the day he made the heavens. We watched over Adam and Eve, saw their frailty and their love, and then we saw their fall, and we pitied them. We were not stoned then, but light. It was not our place to interfere, yet we chose to try and help mankind. And when we disobeyed the Creator, he punished us. We were encrusted by your world. Rock and mud shackled our fiery glow. Still we taught mankind all we knew of creation. With our help, they rose from the dust, became great and mighty. But then they turned our gifts to violence. Only one man protected us, your grandfather Methuselah. We were hunted, most of us killed. Those who lived were left prisoners.
All right, so I don't want to get I don't want to try to get a copyright here, but
What I remember from Sunday school, yeah.
no, well, here we go. So here's VeggieTales. This is what this reminds me of. Let me hold on just a second. Stop screen, share screen. There it is. Okay, here we go.
We're not quite done. We landed on a beach. We were looking for the clapping pass. Something came up behind us. It was a rock monster. Rock monster.
All right, so that's what the Watchers and Noah remind me of.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, like stuff like that. Like I just the movie Noah just didn't interest me in that sort of thing. But I do
Yeah.
love biblical biblically faithful like movies or TV shows. Like one of my
Yeah.
favorite TV shows of all time, and it only lasted one season. I ripped my hair out. Is from Roma Downey, the girl from Touched by an Angel.
Yeah.
She did AD the Bible. So she first did like a Bible series, which was kind of like depicting stories like Abraham and Samson, stuff like that. So it was all over the place. But then after that, she did an actual AD the Bible Continues, which I love because it was actually depicting Acts, the book of Acts, as a TV show, an ongoing TV show. So like I saw, we got to be taken through the early chapters of Acts and following sequence. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. And that was a pretty good Hollywood production. NBC aired it and stuff like that. So sometimes they get it right. I think if they have the right people in charge, then they can do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there have been some really good. So on YouTube, there's been like a dramatized version of like the Gospels, and they don't try to add to them. It's literally somebody just reading the scriptures, and then you have the narrator's reading the scriptures, but then you have the video of the people like acting what is being read in the Bible out. I think those are great. Like those are awesome to me.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I like The Chosen. I do like The Chosen. Now, I like The Chosen for what it is, all right? I don't try to get my theology from The Chosen. I like to be entertained. I'm a human. I love to be entertained. And I love to be entertained by things that aren't necessarily flaunting drug, sexuality, and evil in my face, right? So I like the Chosen for what it is. And speak of her, here she is. Dale, this is the person that we were talking to last night, Autism Girl 1995. Welcome back. Awesome.
Yeah, I was hearing about your tale from last night, so that's awesome to hear. Yeah, welcome very much to Faith Unaltered.
Absolutely. All right, so I let's see here. I am playing with my phone, forgive me. But all right. So with all that being said, and y'all keep asking questions, again, this is open mic, so we will talk about whatever anybody else wants to talk about. I need to pin the link. So I've got the link to join us in the description if you'd like to join us. If you don't want to show your face on camera, that's fine. You can do this number and stop the cam, and you can still talk to us. So if you're shy, don't want to do that, that's fine. Or if you just want to ask us questions in the live chat, we would love to engage with our audience. This is for y'all. So this is our kind of giving back to our audience and to our subscribers for tuning in and supporting us over the years now. We've been going for about 2 years now, and we couldn't do it without y'all. So this is a way for us to give back. We also do giveaways that we will do probably whenever we hit 4,000. We're almost there, y'all. So please share us around. And let your friends and family know about Faith Unaltered, the next new Christian up-and-coming podcast and YouTube channel. But anyway, so with all the promos out the way now, so the thing I want to talk about is I heard a very, very interesting story the other day. So I am a Mr. Ballin fan. For those who know me, you know that I really like paranormal, dark, mysterious type of entertainment, right? Stories about, things that just can't be, what's the word I'm looking for? They can't be rationalized away in like 5 seconds. If they're going to be rationalized away, it takes some investigation. It takes some, digging under the surface, so to say, to really get to the bottom of these. And there's some stories that just have not been explained. So they chalk them up to paranormal events. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about ghosts and like demons and things like that, even though those things would apply here. I'm talking about more specifically medical mysteries, true crime, things of that nature, right? Welcome, Autism Girl. I'm glad you're here with us. But with that being said, Well, actually, let me just go to you real quick. I don't want to. If we got a guest on, I don't want to interrupt. Um, Welcome. What's going on?
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going on your end?
Good.
Awesome. Did you? I heard that you had a great time speaking with Josh, I guess, last night and stuff. So I don't know.
I sure did. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, we can start off with you? Like, did you have any
Yeah.
questions or any specific like topics that you wanted to talk about? Or
I do have just one short question, and then I'll exit the live stream, and I'll go back
Yeah.
to the
Cool.
comment
Sure.
section. But why does God make us so different? Is there a reason for God having a purpose for that idea? You know.
What? So I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but I think I got it. Your question was, why does God make us so different? Is that accurate? Okay.
Yeah.
Dale, do you want to jump on that? I've got thoughts, but do you want to jump on this first, Dale?
yeah, so I think obviously, in one sense, God wants to create us with diversity because it makes life interesting, right? When people have different perspectives, they're different, they have different interests, different likes, and that sort of thing. It helps enrich our lives, right? When we get to share what we love, what we're passionate with other people, and vice versa. They get to share what they like and stuff like that, and we get to see things from a new perspective. So that's one of the reasons, I think, is it enriches our experience of life. In terms of, yeah, like, is there anything like, like in terms of why are some people in a position where they're differently enabled? Like, some people are better athletes than others or something like that. Yeah, I just think once again, people have different interests and stuff like that, so it just kind of enriches us. Yeah, I hope that helps. I don't know.
I
It sure
personally,
did. Thank you.
awesome.
Oh, go ahead.
I personally think that this world would be extremely boring if everyone was like me. I really do. With that being said, I used to say on a podcast that I hosted a couple years back now that perspective is everything. And the thing from my point of view is that we all, with our differences, bring different perspectives to different situations. So, with all of the things that God has given us, with all of the things, and specifically the way He's created us in this world and the world that He's created us in, with all the problems and all the things like that, I think that we wouldn't have as many solutions for those problems if we were all the same. And also, I think God created us differently to be able to save us differently. What I said last night on the stream was that God has a plan for everyone, right? I truly believe that with all of my heart. And if everyone was the same, it would seem to be the same plan in my mind. But given that we are made in God's image, and with all of the differences that He's created us in, that gives Him the right and the ability to save us in a way that will best benefit us personally. I don't think that if everyone was the same and if it was the same thing over and over again, I think it would be extremely boring. And I think the God that we serve, is extremely creative whenever it comes to this. I mean, all you have to do is look up at the sky at night, look at the eclipse that just happened. I don't know if you were in the totality area of the eclipse, but looking up at that, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I think that's the purpose, and that's why God gave us differences, is because of the beauty of that magnificent picture that He's painting and that He has painted in the past. So I think it's a beauty thing. I think it's a problem-solving thing. I think that it's a creative, a basis for creation, ultimately. And I hope that helps.
Yeah, and there's
It did. Thank you.
and there's diversity in the Godhead itself. Remember, there's not just one person. There are
Right.
three separate persons, and they take on different roles the economy of the Trinity and stuff like that. So yeah, even God enriches himself as he has relations with the other divine persons, God the Father and God the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and their relations with the Holy Spirit. One thing I would just add too is that not all the differences between people that we observe are necessarily created by God, because there are differences that are a result of sin in the world, right? So there are also those differences. So just be aware that depending on what you have in mind, kind of thing, right? There are people that have differences that are, they've got this passion for serial killing. That's not from God. That's not something that was put in there. That's a result of sin. So
Yeah.
just be aware that there are some differences are the result of what God's divine design, and some are the result of sin in the world and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that was really well put, Dale.
Awesome.
Very true.
Is there anything else that we can help you out with, or?
Nah, I think that's everything. Thank you.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you coming on and asking us questions, and you're more than welcome to hang out in the chat. And if you have anything else, just let us know.
Will do. Thank
All
you.
right. Nice meeting you. See ya.
Nice meeting.
Take care. All right. So Tyler.
All right.
What was your issue? I forgot now.
You threw me off, Dale. Whatever. I was like, okay, I see her in the chat or in the queue, and then whenever she came up on screen, I was like, oh, okay, let's do this now. So my bad. It kind of threw me off a little bit. But
so
no,
I should wait until afterwards, because I just didn't know if she would stick around.
you're good. So what we'll do is, if we're in the middle of something, and this is good, so we'll let everybody know as well. If we're in the middle of something and we don't bring you up right then, just hang out in the queue. I promise we will get to you.
Cool.
So yeah, let me. I'll finish some thoughts, and then we can go to somebody else if we want to. But anyway, what I was saying was, I'm very interested in like paranormal things. I'm very interested in true crime, things of that nature. And I heard a story the other day that I wanted to share with everybody. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it specifically, Dale, because this blew my mind. And so I can't tell it as good as Mr. Ballin. I'm not even going to try to tell it as good as this guy. But the short version of this story is this guy, and I don't know if this is dude's real name or not. Again, this is coming straight from the Mr. Ballin channel. And so anyway, the dude's name is Mike, all right? And he is chilling in his basement, just hanging out in the man cave, watching TV, whatever. And all of a sudden, he starts focusing on this lamp, okay? And he said the lamp's extremely blurry, like it catches him off guard. He's thinking, what am I, is my vision going out? Like nothing else is blurry. It's just this lamp that's extremely blurry. And so he calls his wife down. He calls his kids. He says, yo, I need you to look at something. Like, am I tripping? Or is this lamp like blurry? And they're like, what are you talking about, man? Like the lamp's fine. I think you're tripping. Like, are you on drugs? They're joking with him. And he's like, no, for real. Like, I'm serious. This lamp is extremely blurry. And they're like, well, maybe get some sleep and, maybe it'll be back to normal. And so Mike's fixated on this lamp, right? He can't watch TV. He can't do anything. He's focused on this lamp. And so he ends up falling asleep. He wakes up the next day. The lamp, he wakes up, he's rubbing his eyes, making sure everything's fine, but the lamp is still blurry. And now here's the trippy thing. This is where things start going like south really quick for this guy. The lamp's not only blurry, the lamp is now upside down. I don't get it. He don't get it, okay, at this point. The lamp is upside down, though. And it's still blurry. And so his wife, he's got to work. And so his wife comes down to make sure he's up. And he's frozen looking at this lamp. He's not responding to his wife. He's transfixed on this lamp like he's in this kind of meditative, what's the word? Why am I?
State. So he's the only one that's seen this. No
Yes.
one else around him. Okay.
Yes, yes. The wife, the kid, and the wife confirmed it. The kids confirmed it. He's got 2 kids, right? I forget their ages. I think like 7 and 4 or something like that. But they all confirmed this lamp is fine. He's the only one that's seeing it blurry, and he's the only one now seeing it upside down. And so he's tripped out. So he goes to work, comes home, and now he's focused on this lamp because it's still, so now we're talking almost a 24-hour period. This one lamp, nothing else, is still blurry. It's upside down. And then Mike says it starts expanding and contracting. So now it's getting bigger and now it's getting smaller. And he's like, what the heck is going on? And so anyway, long story short, I highly suggest, I will, if I can find it again, I will post the link in the description for people to go listen to the story, because again, I can't tell it as good as Mr. Ballin does. But long story short, he is focused on this lamp. It's expanding, it's getting bigger, it's contorting, it's changing shapes, and it's still blurry, all right? So he's like in a trance at this point, right? So the days go by. He's in a trance at this point. He's not responding to his wife. He's missed work. He's just focused on this lamp in his man cave. And all of a sudden, he says he starts hearing screaming. Like people are so far off in the distance, like screaming and hollering and saying, Mike, Mike. Like it starts getting louder and louder and louder. And all of a sudden, this dude opens his eyes. He is on the pavement of his campus college with a group of people circling him and a cop standing over him saying, Mike, Mike, wake up. Are you okay? Are you okay? And he finally, he's out of it, right? He's looking around. He's like, what the hell is going on? The cop is trying to pick him up, right? And he says, we got to go. And so Mike's like, first of all, where's my wife? Like he's looking around the crowd. He doesn't see his wife. He doesn't see his kids. He says, where's my wife? Where's my kids? And the cop says, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. You just need to get in my car and let's go. And so Mike trusts the cop. He said, okay, that's fine. So they get in the car and Mike is like, look, I have a wife. I have 2 kids, and I want to know where they're at right now. The cop says, I have no idea what you're talking about, but we need to get you to a hospital because you just got hit in the head by this big, like, I guess he was a football player or whatever, but the dude beat the spit out of him, and he has this massive knot on his head. He's like, we've got to get you to a hospital right now. So long story short, they get to the hospital. The doctors confirm that this guy has never had a wife, he's never had kids, and he thought this whole thing for 10 years. So his memories of his wife and of his kids go back 10 years, bro. And he's visually recollecting everything, like he's describing it as it just happened yesterday, and none of it was real. None of it. And so he's never been married. Once he gets out of the hospital, he realizes he's never been married. He has no kids or anything like that. And nowadays, right, he says that he really can't even remember the family, but he still grieves over him. And he said that he still has dreams of one of his, I don't know, I can't remember if it was one son or 2 sons, boy and a girl, but one of his sons, one of his kids that is a boy, I guess I should say, he dreams about him trying to say something to him, but Mike can never figure out what the kid is trying to say. And that, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now, like, retelling the story because it tripped me out. But it, like, for me anyway, like, listening to this and now trying to put it into a Christian context, like, we always talk about, and especially on Cosmic Corner with Josh and I have had many conversations about reality and what is real. And I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts on this, Dale, what our chat's thoughts are on this, Because to me, if that seemed so real to Mike that he had a detailed map of everything for the past 10 years, that he remembers his engagement, whenever him and his wife, their first date, their first kiss, what led up to the marriage, what led up then to having their kids, and kids 7 and 4 years old, right? Like, all of that is just taken away in an instant. And it was never real, and he's tripping about it. So this was one of the medical mysteries that I learned about, that I'm like, okay, how can we fit this into a Christian context? Like, if we are looking at this as theologians and as philosophers like yourself, Dale, and as theologians, like, how can we rationalize this? Can we rationalize this in the sense of Christianity? Like, how do we conform this in the Christian worldview? Like, what happened to this guy? And how does that relate to our reality? Like, think about this, dude. Like, I know I've had concussions before, right? What if none of this is real for me, right? What if my wife ain't real? What if my kids ain't real? And y'all are tripping, right? Like, probably like, dummy, like, I'm watching you, right? Like, on the screen. So you're real, I'm real, but what if it's all a figment of our imagination? And like, I wake up one of these days and I find out Lacey never existed, or Kelsey or Eden never existed. Like, what kind of impact would that have on me? Let me know in the comments what you think that would happen to you. But Dale, jump in, brother. What do you think about this story? It's crazy to me. Like, it's
So believe it or not, it's, and again, maybe it's because you don't have the backwards baseball cap on like Mr. Ballin, but like,
maybe
I don't see this so in the first place, there's a little bit of a confusion, right? Like,
okay.
I would explain this fully naturally, the same way an atheist would. Like, I don't see any need to posit anything supernatural. I don't see anything inconsistent with Christianity. And here's where my confusion is, right? Because you're saying this guy was living in the world and he had 10 years of he was in this delusion for 10 years. Still
No. So from the time he got hit in the head to the time of unconsciousness to the time he woke up was all within a matter of minutes, I'm assuming. Like, enough for this thing to happen, this accident to happen, a crowd to gather around him, and then he wakes up with this crowd gathered around him. So I'm assuming maybe max 30 minutes.
Gotcha. So it was the beating that prompted what he thought was 10 years. But again,
Right.
Even afterwards, you're saying his memory, as soon as he was out of it, his memory was vague. He couldn't remember what they looked like and stuff. So
No. So he had. So okay. So I can't tell good stories. My bad. So okay. So when he wakes up, right, and he's in the hospital. So the cop, as soon as he wakes up, the cop takes him to the hospital. He has vivid memories of his family. Like, he can tell the cop and the doctors and everybody else who he talked to, like accurately what happened over those last 10 years. Like, he's got basically 10 years of false memories happening, right? All in a span of 30 minutes. Does that answer the question? Like, yeah. So after time now, after he's been awake now for I don't know, however long it's been now, 10, maybe 15 years, he's forgotten those memories over time. But when, like, from the moment he woke up to the moment of the hospital, like, no, he could recollect basically everything. Like, all the highlights of those 10 years, he could recollect perfectly.
Yeah, so I think this can be just explained naturalistically, right? Because I bet if the doctors scanned him and looked, okay, has he actually accumulated 10 years worth of memory engrams, the answer would be no. So there might be an issue of perception of time, right? Where time seems to fly versus time is taking eternity, if you're listening to David Russell or something like that. There is, especially when you have a head injury, I'll just put it this way. Yeah, like, there's nothing in and of that I don't think can't be explained naturalistically. Like, I'm not driven to go like, oh, he must have been in an alternate reality and lived 10 years in real life in this alternate reality. And then, like, I would need a lot more than just him thinking in this knocked out state that he had life over 10 years. No, we can easily be deluded and that kind of thing. So yeah, sorry to disappoint. Like I'd love to support, and there are other stories that Mr. Ballin has talked about and stuff. Sometimes where I'm like, oh, I don't have a ready explanation or something like that, and I need to think about it. But this one, but I will say this, right? Just going in the spirit of it, is obviously there are people in the chat are saying that for some people, they have a hard time distinguishing what's reality versus their dreams or dream world and stuff. It's so real to them that they have a hard time distinguishing, and that would be scary. What if this is all a dream right now, and your family, it's not, you wake up and you realize it's not real, like you were just having a dream about this or something like that. So like the way I answer that, this is not a fear for me at all. And I've looked at papers by people like Nick Bostrom, who's a famous philosopher, and he tries to make an argument saying that we're in a virtual reality type thing. And he says the evidence proves we are very probably in a thing. But I think that most people recognize that as ridiculous. We are in the real world. And how do we know that? That's where I appeal to my old favorite, the properly basic belief. Like we can't infer that this world is real from any of our observations. That's vicious circular reasoning and stuff like that, right? But we do have this God-given properly basic belief that the external world is real. God is external to us and real. We are not a part of God. Same with the world and other people. We are external. We're not all one, as the Buddhists and New Agers like to say. So how do I know the world out here that I'm touching right now is real and not some dream or virtual reality? I know in a properly basic way. And I would say I know in the 100% degree. I don't know. I think most people know, that there's that automatic dismissal that, oh, that's ridiculous, right? Like it makes you think, like something like the Matrix makes you think, and it's fun to think about, but nobody really thinks like, yeah, this may be all the Matrix. Like most people know, yeah, we're grounded in an external reality. And I think unbeknownst to them, they know through a properly basic belief. That's my answer. I'm sorry I put such a come down on the what you were hoping to do with this, but
it's cool, because here's the thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm speaking on a practical level, right? Like, I don't know specifically how something like that would affect me. You know what I mean? Because I've never been through that. So if I could wake up one morning, or just randomly, just like, okay, I go from like this state of consciousness to another one, and nothing I remember is real. Like, obviously, that's from a head injury. Like right now, we're rationalizing it, right? But that would personally, dude, that would destroy me, right? I've over the past 4 years now. So specifically when my daughter was born, right? My first daughter, I have come to change so much, right? And I've seen God working in my life specifically to the point and recreating me from the guy I was before I met my wife, before I had my kids, to now and after that. So AC, or yeah, after children, right? After wife and kids, after family. How about that, AF? So Tyler AF versus Tyler PF, right? Pre-family, after family. And to wake up and maybe, so I remember I had a vague memory of myself as a kid getting hit in the head with a baseball, right? And my dad rushed me to the doctor. Well, it was the emergency room. We were playing a baseball game, and I got cracked right in the side of the head with a baseball. And anyway, so if I were to just like wake up, so to say, wake up, and I'm still on the way to the hospital with my dad, and I'm like in my little league outfit, like that would completely destroy, I think, my trust in whatever, right? I don't know if that would kill my faith in God or not, but that would destroy me, dude. I would definitely need help. I would definitely need counseling. I would definitely need a whole bunch of stuff, because how can you just make up in your head 10 years? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's baffling to me.
Yeah, it's the mind is a powerful thing, and look, when it gets damaged, right? The properly basic beliefs are proper with respect to warrant, and warrant is a reliablest criterion for knowledge. So this is technical stuff that people in the audience don't care, but the point is here is that it depends on our cognitive faculties or spiritual faculties, whatever it is, functioning properly. And when you get knocked in the head, that's not the case. So maybe this guy no longer has a properly basic belief in the reality of the world, or he can no longer distinguish between the dream world and things. So it's I'm not denying that it's possible to get into this state, and my gosh, what a heck hole that would be if you can't distinguish. Like, yeah, if you made up this delusion in your head about having a family for 10 years and all this stuff, and then you realize it's all false. I mean, yeah, we see movies like Beautiful Mind where for him, at least his wife was real and stuff like that, right? Because that grounded that mathematician. But he had his best friend in college was all a lie. His niece or something, and his working for the government. He thought he had this whole important job and stuff, and it was all. Have you never seen A Beautiful Mind? Or
No, I haven't, but I found the link to the video too. So
it's Russell Crowe. And it's based on a true story. This Nash, he was a mathematician in the 40s and 50s. He came up with game theory and economics and stuff, but he had schizophrenia, and for a decade or something like that, he was having these hallucinations. He was living a double life, all of which was just not real. And
wow,
you see it hit him in that realization where his wife's just like, baby, it's not real. This is all in your head. And like, if you can't distinguish because your faculties, I just can't imagine. Like, I'm just saying, I thank God that my faculties aren't damaged to that level, but there are a lot of people who aren't as fortunate, and yeah, we got to try to help them whatever way we can.
Right. No, I agree. So I just found the link to the video of Mr. Baldwin, and I just posted it in the chat. So that starts at 1:43. So he's going to start talking about something else. Don't trip out. This is the link to the video. And I messed up. The guy's name's Mitch, not Mike. See, I can't tell a story. I can't just do it off the top of my head. So my apologies for that. But anyway, long story short, go and watch this video after this stream. Because it's only a couple minutes long, and it tripped me out. But anyway, like I said, and I'm with you. Like, I can't process what that would be like, right? And so I don't know. I thought about whenever I was listening to that story, like, I originally thought of my wife and my kids, and whether or not that would destroy like my faith in God. Like, I don't think there's anything that can do that. I really don't. But then I heard that story, and I'm just like, I wonder what that would be like. I want to say no, that wouldn't, but I don't know. I've never been in that situation before.
Right.
So
I was in that situation, actually, because my relationship with God, there was a 6-month period where I was an agnostic, and I went through this hell of like not believing that God exists and doubting everything. My whole past as a Christian and stuff, it seemed like it was all fake and all stuff. So in a way, I mean, yeah, I went through exactly what this guy did. So yeah, I can relate to how torturous it is and we can kind of understand people who've lost their faith or were, I guess, Xers or deconstructionists in that sense, where they feel just betrayed by everything in their past. They feel like it was all a lie. They've deluded themselves into thinking it was all just a sham and illusion, smoke and mirrors. And yeah, what does that do to you? That can mess you up. You know what? I would be angry too and stuff, right? Especially, I wish I could, like that David Russell guy. I just wish he wasn't real. I wish he was David Russell. Hey,
he's been here the whole time. I just woke up and he's here. What the hell?
How are you, Mr. Russell?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Tripping right now, dude, because that story messed me up, man. Like, I'm telling you.
What story?
the story about Mitch and looking at a blurry lamp and realizing like he actually got hit in the head and he just his mind made up the last 10 years of his life where he got married, he had kids, and to wake up like after getting knocked out by this football player, he realizes all of it's fake. Like all of it is just a dream. Done. Like I don't know if I could live with that. Like I really don't. Like I tell myself all the time, what would happen if Lacey and like my family just got wiped out? Like, because we have storms up here, and I really worry about my family, my wife and my kids. Like, if I'm at work and we've got tornadoes like ripping through here, or possible storms ripping through here, I think to myself, like, what would I really do if I lost my family? I don't know. I really don't. Like, that would destroy me. And then to imagine a family that you have. And I know I've been on this for a little bit now, so for our audience, I'm just reiterating this to David because he just got here. But for me to realize, like, if I just woke up and I was like 8 years old or 9 years old, and to realize that Lacey and Kelsey and Eden and you and Dale and everybody else, Josh, were not real, bro, that would destroy me, I think. Like, it'd trip me out. Anyway, what do you think, David?
There's a great Star Trek episode where Picard gets hit by a probe, and he lives in another life, has kids, just a whole other thing, and then he even gets old and dies. And when he dies, he comes back, and what it was is this alien probe was basically giving him the last years of the civilizations. Last years of the civilizations.
Was like letting him see the future?
No.
Okay.
He was living somebody's life in the past through a probe.
Oh my God.
And basically he got to see the one of the scientists that made the probe. He got to see that man's entire life. He got to live that man's life, and just to remember the culture that died. And the crazy thing is he learned how to play this little flute. And when he woke up, he could still
play the flute.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just wild, man. So yeah, I think stuff like that is I mean, it's mind-boggling.
That was just all in his head, right? Like he wasn't actually living someone else's life.
No, it was all in his head. Yep.
Yeah,
it was all in his head. But the probe made it as real as possible because of the technology they had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he did live that life in that short amount of time.
See, that's what I was talking about. Is this guy? So no alien probes, no nothing. Like, this is real life. Like, unless it's just a creepypasta, which that might very well be. But apparently, this dude, he got hit in the head. He was playing football, or he got in a fight. Like I said, I posted the link in the live chat if anybody wants to watch it. But yeah, he got hit in the head. No alien probe. He lived a completely different life and woke up, and none of it was real. Just wow. Anyway, just FYI, what did you say? The origin of the story is now deleted. Reddit post. It's interesting, but no way to verify if it's real. Right. So no real bearing on anything. Absolutely. I like to listen to that stuff and think about, like, well, what if that was, like, what if that happened to me? So anyway.
Right.
Yeah, David, but just before we move on quickly, like, I tried to relate this to, like, Christianity, like maybe deconstructionists. You've been working with them. They might feel like this Mike or Mitch person, when they lost their family, well, that's like what these Xers feel like when they're losing their belief in God. Like, God, that's a real relationship with a real person, right? So do you think that could be comparable in any way? Like that the way Tyler would feel if he came home and his family was gone, that's the same thing when they lose their relationship with God in some way. So it's, yeah, what do you think the relationship is there?
I don't know. I'm still wondering if you're real or not.
Can you see me? Oh,
no, we can't.
Exactly. All right, but yeah, BJ Allen, this is open mic. You can come on and discuss.
I pinned the link to join us. So it's pinned at the top of the live chat now. So if anybody wants that link, you can have it.
All right. So I guess we can move on to my topic.
No, I've got another one. I do have another one, but I will allow this. Okay. Dale motions to move on. I will allow it. Go.
Very All right, so this is a total change of gears, but I was invited on the Skeptics and Seekers podcast today.
That was where you messed up.
Well, I
I'm just playing.
I trusted a fellow Christian named Mac Attack, who, but anyways, yeah. So we were discussing kind of religion and politics, and as a Christian, should we be involved in politics and that sort of thing. And at one point, one of the issues between separation of church and state came up, right? And I was arguing that, look, secularism isn't supposed to be the freedom from religion. It's the freedom of religion, right? Citizens are supposed to be, basically, it's just saying the government's not supposed to impose one religion onto its population, but it's not supposed to interfere with us practicing our religions. And in that case, it's coming up in the context of, so I'm a Canadian, as people will know, and in Quebec.
And that's where you messed up.
Yeah, I had a choice. I chose to be born here. I screwed up. The point is, in the English-speaking Canada, we're more like the U.S. But in Quebec, the Frog Eaters, the French-speaking province there, they're kind of like France, and they have this controversial law banning any and all expressions of religious symbols. You can't wear that cross around your neck. You can't wear your turban and stuff like that, because that's seen as the government supporting religion. So I just want to play a little clip of this controversy here. And yeah, I think that we can have religious accommodation. Well, I'll shut up and I'll play the clip, and then I'll give my opinion after. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
And that's why it's so surprising to have heard you say, like every other leader on the stage, that a federal government under you would not intervene in the question of Bill 21 in Quebec.
Here's Bill 21 explained. François Legault is the newly elected premier in Quebec, who is also head of the Coalition Avenir Quebec party, also known as the CAQ.
We want to offer
the CAQ
offices for the people who want to keep wearing a religious sign, but it's important for us that all people in an authority position don't wear a religious sign.
The CAQ has put in several legislation.
Wait, pause it. What do you say? It's what? What do you say? I can't understand him. What do you say? Just then.
He wants to prevent them from wearing religious symbols.
Prevent who? Like the citizens?
Yeah, like a government employee. If you're a clerk at City Hall, you can't wear a turban. You can't wear a cross or anything like that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
French culture and to keep Quebec secular. But can secularism be taken too far? That's the current question coming out of Quebec with the CAQ's most controversial new law. On June 16th, 2019, the CAQ party passed Bill 21, which is now known as the secularism law. This law bans anyone coming into a government job from wearing religious symbols while at work. Kippas, hijabs, and turbans are now just a few of the religious symbols prohibited in the public sector. According to Legault, the bill was very popular throughout Quebec, with some stating that it promoted Quebec's values as a secular society. However, in Montreal, as well as other areas of the province, such as Quebec City, the law hasn't been met with a warm reception, nor has the CAQ party itself. There have been accusations that the new law is thinly veiled xenophobia.
The law discriminates against religious and other minorities. This is why the Canadian Civil Liberties Association vehemently opposes the new law and is stepping forward with the National Council of Canadian Muslims and with Itrak Nur El Haq to challenge it.
The passage of Bill 21 legalizes discrimination. Bill 21 forces people to choose between their faith and their career.
With the federal election just around the corner, this Quebec debate has taken a national level of importance. Naturally, the election candidates are being asked their stance. The leading candidates, Justin Trudeau, Andrew Scheer, and Jagmeet Singh, have all stated that they disagree with the law.
Leave the door open, and that's not.
Let's be honest for a second here. Every single day of my life is fighting a bill like Bill 21.
So why
every
won't
single
you
day of
fight
my
it
life
if you form government?
every single day of my life is challenging people who think that you can't do things because of the way you look. Every single day of my life, I channel the frustrations of people who feel that as well, that many people across our country who are told they can't achieve what they want because of how they look.
So why
I'm
not
running to become
act
prime minister
on your
of this
convictions
country. I'm going to
and
Quebec
leave the
and telling
door
people,
open
I want to be
to
your prime
challenging
minister.
it? We will.
So I just want to, I think you guys kind of get it at this point, and I can't believe this, but Justin Trudeau is actually right on this issue here, and Jagmeet Singh, who has his religious symbols, his turban on his head there, he's saying that as the prime minister, if he was elected, he's basically the Bernie Sanders party for in Canada, I guess, just to give him context. But he's saying he would not stop Quebec from putting through this law. And Justin Trudeau saying, no, this is discrimination.
Is he dumb? Like, I don't mean to interrupt, Dale, but why is he wearing his turban then?
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, what's he going to do? He's a government official. When he goes into Quebec, is he going to take off his turban? Like, of course not, right? So, the prime minister's banned from the province, I guess, right? Like,
that's why we don't vote for Bernie Sanders.
Yes. So the point here that I wanted to make is within a democracy, a free and democratic society, there are things called religious accommodations, right? Mm-hmm. Because we recognize in the past, back in England and all that, there have been very fearful and bloody lessons in slaughter that we have learned in history, from the Reformation Wars, the wars in England, the religious persecution. That's why pilgrims jumped on the Mayflower, came here for freedom and to live in peace. And eventually it made it into the US Constitution, and then in Canada, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, right? We want people to be free to practice their religions uninhibited within reason, right? Obviously, you can't have a religion where it impacts on others. If it's my religion, we should be able to express ourselves. And that includes as citizens working in government things. There's nothing wrong with a Muslim wearing a hijab to uphold her religious beliefs, or us wearing a cross. The government is the representative of the people, right? And the people are a bunch of people diverse in faith. There's no problem in expressing that. That isn't showing, oh my gosh, well, that means the government is supporting Islam or the government's supporting Sikhism. No, it isn't. It's just saying, look, we support people, and the people of Canada are a bunch of diverse faiths that they express as persons, as individuals. So we can have religious accommodations, right? So, for example, taking Sundays off. I would refuse to work. In Canada, it's the law that employers have to accommodate that by, rescheduling people. Like, okay, fine, we'll have you work Saturdays, and we'll have somebody else who's not a Christian work on Sundays. With Muslims, we have to accommodate, they have to pray. So we have workplaces set up within reason without causing them undue hardship, or in a way that doesn't unjustifiably hinder them doing their job. We can set up places for Muslims to pray during the workday at the specified times. Or we can allow Sikhs to wear their turbans. But obviously there are limits, right? So, for example, we've had a famous case where a Sikh demanded to wear his turban as a construction worker. No, because
that ain't gonna work.
You have to wear your hard hat, right? So it's always a balancing act. That's the point I wanted to make, is we can allow for religious accommodation and still be reasonable. But the skeptics on the show this morning were saying, no, they were like these Quebecers. Then no, if you accommodate religion at all, that's evil. That's supporting religion. It has to be nothing. We can't accommodate them at all. That's wrong. That's going to lead to war. That's what we saw in England in the 1600s. So you can't take away their rights like that.
Now, unless you make it wouldn't be OSHA, right? Because I don't think you guys have OSHA. That's a United States thing. But if they made OSHA approved turbans, like, that would be a way you could do it, right? But I mean, maybe that'll happen. But no. So here's my thoughts on this, right? You should be mandatory, all right? Mandatory. If you work in a job where your jewelry or your dress is going to harm either yourself or somebody else, that, in my opinion, should be the only. Now, maybe there are exceptions to this rule, but just on a surface level, the only the only place to stop like jewelry wearing. So, for example, I work around machinery, right? I'm a welder, so I work around grinders. I work around machines that spin tables. I work around all kinds of moving different parts, right? What do I do if I'm not wearing gloves, which the majority of the time I am, but if I'm not wearing gloves, I take off my ring so it cannot get, caught in the machinery, and I take off my necklace, or I tuck my necklace in my shirt so it cannot get caught on anything, right? It's not that I'm trying to be anti-religious. I'm trying to be safe, and safety is number one. And so in that scenario, like if my boss like demanded, instead of tucking, like I take off my necklace, I wouldn't have a problem with that because I know he's trying to keep me safe. Or my ring. It's not that I'm anti-wife, it's that I'm pro-safe. And so, but to be in a government official job, working at a desk job, I don't see any problems because what you said, Dale, you're absolutely right. The government represents the people, and the people are diverse. Therefore, they should be accommodating us because they're our representatives. They speak for us. And so they should, in my opinion, you take representatives from the people to represent the people. They shouldn't be made to accommodate anybody other than what they're already doing. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what Quebec's. They want to make us all uniform into little atheistic communist soldiers that are all, we're all dressed the same. We're all in a government uniform. No, that's, and I'm exaggerating there, but
so I got two things. What do you guys say about this? They won't approve for religious accommodations people that have beards because it interferes with the N95 mask.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Now, it interferes with respirators, and we have to be clean shaven to wear a respirator, but not an N95 mask.
That's what they said.
I can't stop laughing.
Second of all, this is a divorcement of religion, period. I mean, the problem is what they don't realize on a philosophical level is that they're basically saying you can't celebrate religion because you have to celebrate non-religion. And
secularism.
You're always, you can't separate worldview from politics. You just can't. I mean, your values are shaped by your worldview. You're bringing that to the office you're representing. So are some of your values going to have religious leanings to it? Yes, absolutely. I don't know too many value systems that are devoid from a Judeo-Christian influence. So the fact that they're trying to divorce religion completely, they're just ending up replacing it, like Dale was saying, with atheism. Right. And that's the thing. I mean, you're all you're doing is switching out a worldview, and that's to me, it just can't be done. And it didn't work in Russia. So what makes you think it's going to work anywhere else?
Right. It's like you're over trying to accommodate for the atheists, and then you're losing your religious people instead of having the mixed bag represent the mixed bag that is the society that they represent, right? So, yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. And they're trying to do it here. I mean, it's not beyond us here. I mean, it's trying to infect us as well.
Yeah.
And who knows if it will totally succeed at some point. I just don't think so, because I don't think you can separate the two, regardless how hard you try. You just end up being inconsistent,
Right.
So I'm curious. Linda says I just ruined her night. I don't get it, but okay. I'm sorry to do that, Linda, but I don't know what she means by that, but yeah, it's
because you're Canadian and you're putting nonsense out there with your red cream soda and your bagged milk, and
Yeah, I see what you meant before, Tyler. Yeah, we really need to get rid of this.
You see my point, man. So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
so,
we all agree on this issue. Like, look, there can be reasonable religious accommodation, right? We support people freely expressing their faith within reason. And that's not a problem. That's not a statement of the government's. Oh my gosh, you know, Jagmeet Singh or whatever was wearing his turban. Oh my gosh, he's the head of the NDP party. I guess that means the NDP is officially endorsing Sikhism. No,
Right.
it's not. Like, come on now.
Right.
So yeah, that was my issue.
I think we agree with you, Dell, on this one, and the Skeptics and Seekers crew are just wrong whenever it comes to this. Like you say it all the time, Dell. Like there's so many people that are they're just wrong. They're silly. Skeptics and Seekers, you're wrong on this. Like, don't just stop. Yeah.
Co-host, you have to do better.
Yeah, come on, dude. Like, stand up for your worldview. Like David just said, you can't separate yourself from your worldview. So stop trying, bro. Like, be a Christian, be your Calvinist Christian, and come on, like, get with the program, dude.
So I totally.
I don't know
why I ruined Linda's night. I mentioned Trudeau, and yeah.
There you go. That'll ruin anybody's night. Just to be honest, that's like mentioning Biden. Like, we can't do that. Man, now we're gonna get our first strike. Thanks, Dale. No, I'm just kidding.
Cool.
All right,
that's mine. David Russell, do you have?
Nah, David don't get one. So here we go. We're gonna talk. No, I'm just kidding. I do have something else I want to talk about, but David, what do you?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right, so Dale and I were talking about reincarnation the other day, right? And so we're going to go back into the strange, mysterious, and dark for a little bit, and Mr. Ballin's stuff. And so I want to get your opinions on reincarnation. Now, here's the thing, okay? So if you did not watch the Grill a Christian that turned into a refutation of this quote-unquote self-professed psychic's work, my door just shut. I hope my wife's home, because if not, and I'm the only one here and my door's shutting on its own, like, I've got a ghost and I probably need to get off this stream. So I hope my wife's here. But anyway, with that being said, Dell and I were doing we were supposed to be interviewed by self-professed psychic Barbara With, excuse me. And she no-showed us. Y'all know the story on that. For anybody that's followed, y'all know the story. And we ended up refuting her interview with Jesus of Nazareth, the afterlife interviews, as she calls them. Anyway, the subject of reincarnation got brought up in that discussion, right? And we completely debunked it. We completely, just said, no, we don't hold to reincarnation. Here's why. Dale gave some really good examples of why we should not hold to reincarnation. And I think at least I back that up with scripture. Now, here's the thing, okay? With that being said, I'm not recanting everything I said, but I do want to get y'all's opinions, and I want to hear our guests' opinions in the chat. Now, here's the thing. There are stories. Now, I've never interviewed these people. I've seen these people interviewed before, but I've never done it. So maybe they're making it up. Maybe they're not. But there are stories that have been told about reincarnation events, right? The things that only, and we're talking young kids. So we're talking 3 and 4 and 7. So all under 10 years old, right? Are talking about these kids experiencing and having memories of a past life, okay? And so specifically, the one that comes to mind is, again, I heard from Mr. Ballin. And so go subscribe to Mr. Ballin's channel if you haven't. Like, he's got some good stuff if you're into the strange, dark, and mysterious. But anyway, so there's an Indian kid, and again, I won't go into details. I'm just going to paraphrase the story real quick, because we all know by now I'm not good at telling stories. But with that being said, there's a kid, he's in India, and he's 2 years old, and he's having tantrums, like complete tantrums, and he keeps saying this phrase, Shursh Verma, Shursh Verma, Shursh Verma. If you've heard the story before, let me know in the comment section or the live chat. But he keeps, like, just screaming, like, uncontrollable tantrums, just absolutely mind-boggling. Like, his mom, his dad, they don't know what they're going to do with it, okay? So this goes on for a few years now. So he gets to the point of about 4 years old, and he's still having these tantrums. He hates his lifestyle. He's asking his mom at 4 years old, why do we have to be poor, basically? And he throws fits. He does not like the situation that he's in. Anyway, long story short, he finally, the Shurshverma thing, the Shurshverma, they finally, once he is able to articulate this word a little bit better. And what's interesting is that at the end of his temper tantrums, that's whenever he would start repeatedly saying this phrase, Shurshverma. So his mom understood that, okay, his temper tantrum is kind of calming down a little bit. Shurshverma, 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 right? Anyway, he gets to be 4 years old, and I forget the name of the town, but there's a town nearby that this kid starts talking about. He wants to go to this town that's neighboring the little village that they're in. It's probably like a 2-3 hour drive, and he's throwing these temper tantrums in correlation with this Shurshverma phrase. Well, he gets to be able to articulate this phrase a little bit better, and his mom realizes that he's saying Suresh Verma. She thinks it sounds like a name, and that's about as far as it goes for a little bit. But he's always wanting to go to this town. So anyway, a day comes up where his dad goes to this town without the little boy, his knowledge of it, right? And anyway, the boy ends up, so this kid's, again, like 4 years old. He ends up finding out that his dad is going to this town, and he flips. He freaks. He starts throwing plates. He starts having one of the biggest temper tantrums that this family has seen as of yet. And so the mom, she don't know what to do. So he has an older brother. She says, look, I want you to go to this town and just see if you can find anything, like anything at all. So they go to the town. The boy doesn't know really exactly what he's looking for. The kid is still freaking out because now his brother gets to go to the town that his dad's at, and this little boy really wants to go to. And so anyway, so the kid finally gets back along with the dad, and the mom asks the kid, well, hey, what did you find out? And the kid looks at his mom dead in the eye and says, we're going to have visitors tomorrow. She's like, what? Like, what? So anyway, the next day rolls around, and the kid, so they see this family coming up. So the family has stopped at the edge of their property. They are now walking up, and the mom wants to see how this little kid is going to interact with this family. So she says, hey, go, our visitors are here, like, go see them. And the kid, runs out there, and all of a sudden it changes, like in this kid. He's happy. He's laughing. He's not throwing temper tantrums. He's extremely ecstatic. And the family, the closer they get, the mom starts saying they're dressed up real nice. They've got a nice car. They've actually got a car. The family that lives in the village where this kid, was born into, they don't have nothing. They have to walk, and they have to, ride like a bicycle or a little moped. So they don't, this family's high class compared to their middle/low class living style. Well, anyway, the family comes up. The kid's happy as a lark, and the mom meets the lady and the group that she's with, that's dressed up real nice. And anyway, they come in, they sit down, and they start talking. Well, come to find out that this kid has memories of this lady, and he starts talking about how he took her to a carnival, that he took her, and he starts naming the people that were with her at this carnival. And she's like, what? Like, blew her mind. Absolutely blew her mind. And then he says something that tripped everybody out. He said the word Suresh Verma, and the lady that was dressed up real nice, like, her jaw drops. She starts crying, and she says, that was my husband's name, Suresh Verma. What? Like, where did this kid get this knowledge from? So anyway, the way that this all panned out, the older brother went to the town, found this radio store that was named Suresh, right? And he's like, okay, cool. That sounds a lot like what my little brother's saying. So he walked in there, he started talking, and come to find out, he found out that the woman that was real dressed up that came and met the family, that her husband had been shot in the head. And it's interesting because he gets shot right behind, like right above, like, the ear here. And he's got an entry and an exit wound that comes out, like, goes in and it comes out right there. and it kills the guy. Anyway, so they start talking. The mom is starting to realize, hey, I believe in reincarnation. Maybe this kid was reincarnated. And she goes and gets scissors and she starts cutting off his hair. And lo and behold, this kid has birthmarks right where this other guy gets shot. The kid starts claiming to be this guy who his or who this, this whole family that came and visited, like he claims to be the husband of this woman. And he knows all this information. And again, so that really blew my mind. I will find, if anybody's interested in it, I'll find the link to that to that story as well. I'll post up in the description. But like, my question is at this point, like, okay, we don't believe in reincarnation, but what then is the explanation? There has to be a naturalistic explanation for this kid. Not only, and now I'm going to say the birthmark was like coincidence, possibly, but it's just really interesting to me that he has that there, as well as knowing all the details about this specific woman. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
So it's funny because when he wasn't, so in the first place, simple fraud can be here, right? We have no proof that the story is true.
Yep.
It's funny, he never identifies who the murderers are. Well, if he knows all these details, why doesn't he know that? And there's links to fraudsters through the name T2. You didn't mention that.
That's it. That's his name.
T2. Okay, so
yep,
there's some kind of link to fraudsters or something from what I remember. So that's troubling as well, right?
Okay.
Outside of that, I would say these kinds of stories that are reported by people like Dr. Ian Stevenson and Dr. Gary Habermas has proved, even when there is a supernatural element or an element that can't be explained naturally, and as Christians, we're open to the supernatural, demonic activity better fits these type of cases, because in a lot of these cases with the exact same types of stories, you find out these little kids are reporting stuff supposedly reincarnated, but the people that they were reincarnated from are still alive while they're saying all of this stuff. So that's not reincarnation. That's demonic. Maybe demons are giving them information or something like that. So this story, there's no proof of it. So natural explanations seem to fit it better. Second, or at the very least, they're equally probable at this point. Secondly, there are more probable supernatural explanations, if you want to go there, in terms of demonic activity fitting the facts of this phenomenon overall better than the reincarnation model. So that's how me and Gary would answer that.
Yeah, T2 Singh from Agra. That was the name of the place that he was always wanting to go, was Agra. Who as a 4-year-old in 1988 claimed to be Suresh Verma and had been killed in his past life. It says, the web search says, according to the search results, T2 Singh, also known as Toran Singh, was a boy from Agra, India, who claimed to be the reincarnation of a man named Suresh Verma. T2 made these claims when he was around 4 years old in 1988. Here's what happened to T2 Singh. Background: T2 Singh was born in the village of Baad near Agra in Uttar Pradesh, India. He was the youngest of 6 children. From a young age, T2 started making statements about his previous life, claiming to be Suresh Verma, a man who was shot dead in his previous birth. Memories and statements. T2 made several specific statements about Suresh Verma's life and circumstances. He mentioned details about Suresh's family, his wife Uma, their 2 sons, and even described having a radio shop in Agra. T2 also recalled a trip he took with Uma and the children, described Suresh's home, and mentioned details about Suresh's death. Verification: T2's claims were investigated by reincarnation research Antonia Mills, who replicated the methodology of Ian Stevenson, a renowned researcher in the field. Suresh Verma's family, who had never met T2 before, verified many of his statements about Suresh's life and recognized him as their deceased relative. T2 correctly identified people, places, and even a photo of himself at Suresh's radio shop. Birthmarks: Suresh Verma's relative. So that basically goes into the birthmark. I won't read all this. Behaviors: T2 displayed similar behaviors to Suresh, such as being active, intrepid, and hot-tempered. He even showed anger and aggression like Suresh had done in the past. T2's behavior at Suresh's radio shop and his ability to operate a tape deck and drive a car at a young age were also noted. Replacement reincarnation. This case is considered a likely example of replacement reincarnation, where the previous person's death occurs after the start of the new pregnancy or birth. The exact birth date of T2 is uncertain, but if it is December 10th, 1983, as claimed by his father, it would make this case unique as the only documented case of its kind, with the replacement occurring during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. And that sounds suspicious to me because the mom don't know what date her kid was born.
Replacement reincarnation? I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, it's the idea that if someone dies, so the story with T2 and Suresh is that Suresh died while T2's mother was pregnant with him in the 3rd trimester, and so his soul goes and inhabits the little boy's body, which I think is BS, and I think it contradicts the Christian worldview, because I think we're conceived with souls. So I don't know how that would happen, but it is what it is at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if we know where human development begins and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, things like this are to me, it's a little far fetched. And if you notice, you know, the reincarnation happened within a reincarnation culture, right? So with the idea of children being highly susceptible to suggestion, and if the parents were fraudsters and professional fraudsters, they could very easily manipulate and hypersuggest to their child and do these things. So I mean, it's not far fetched. And as Dale was talking about, even with, you know, a demonic culture, or not a demonic culture, but a culture void of the Holy Spirit, you know, maybe
that would be demonic.
Yeah, you know, who knows? You know, I mean,
someone might say ghost. Maybe Suresh Verma showed up as a ghost. Again, this isn't a Christian explanation, but what? It's funny to me. Like with Mr. Ballin, all due respect to these guys, I was hooked on their little stories, Mr. Nightmare, stuff like that as well, right?
Oh, creepypasta guy, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's funny how like they'll show these things, and they're totally different interpretations. One, it's the same story, but one is like, oh, this is a proof of a time slip, or another one, this is proof of aliens. Like that, it's the exact same story, but it's interpreted differently, and the facts could be said. If you're willing to go with it, it looks like it fits these different models. So you've really got to critically assess these. And like I said, Dr. Gary Habermas and J.P. Moreland have done the best work on the reincarnation studies by Ian Stevenson, which was a scholarly study, and they really refute the heck out of their reincarnation hypothesis in their chapter in Beyond. I believe the book's called Beyond Death. Let me just show that for the audience. No, that's. Oh, did they? Is that it? Did they update it?
Yeah, that's a good point from Dustin. While you're looking for that, Dale, exactly why do these reincarnation stories happen only in cultures that accept reincarnation? Right. Now, if my little girl like started saying that she lived a past life and all these, you know, different things like that, oh my gosh, there's a shadowy figure walking in here that looks like she's mad at me. Ah! Oh, it's my wife. Thank God. Or maybe I don't want to thank God on this one because she looks mad. What's up, babe? I'm live streaming right now. What are you doing? On YouTube and Twitter or X. Open mic.
With who?
David and Dale and all of our fans. All 19 of our fans. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey.
We love you, Lacey.
David said, we love you, Lacey. She's like, yeah. We've been going for almost 2 hours now, though, so I'm about to wrap up.
I was going to say, can you be done? Because there's a fire in here.
A fire?
Like, not that kind of fire.
Oh, my gosh. She said we got a fire in our house.
Don't have to worry about storms.
Maybe she's just reincarnated.
Why, what's going on?
Telling a story of someone else. Oh,
Yeah.
all right, cool. But yeah, have you read the book by Gary Habermas?
I haven't read that one.
It's a good book. It's a really good book.
It sounds good. Yeah, I think I might give it a check.
Awesome. Well,
yep.
Yeah. Well, I
just
guess
got-
or anything for you.
I've been reading this.
Clay Jones.
Yeah.
Why would you read him? It's almost like, are you expecting him to be on the show? Or
Oh
something?
yeah, because he is going to be on the show, and then in my spare time, I will be looking at that.
In search of
What was that?
In search of ancient roots.
Well, all you
So,
gotta do is go out in your backyard and dig up a tree.
Hey, any questions from the audience while we wrap up? I guess.
No, I got 15 minutes. Let's keep going.
The reincarnation thing. Is there anything else?
I'm scrolling through. Let me know your thoughts on reincarnation, y'all, in the comment section, or if you've got any question. Is everything okay at Tyler's home? Yeah, everything's cool. So
house isn't burning down?
The house isn't burning down. No, the kids are throwing a fit, and I guess my oldest was claiming to be like Mary Magdalene. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, she had a past life. Yeah.
She did. Yeah. No, she didn't at all. But if you do, so let me scroll through the comments. If you do have a question for us in regards to anything, like post it in the live chat, and we will get to it momentarily. We've got about 15 minutes to rock this out, so I will start going through these. Also, if you want to support our ministry, feel free to super chat us or donate to one of the links in the description below. We take Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. No dead air, guys. Start talking.
Hey, you're supposed to be reading something, I thought,
I'm looking for questions in the comment section.
David, you come up with one question because you have yet to come up with the topic or something. So
I came in kind of late. I was actually being interviewed for my second job thing. So
what? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm a nerd, so I like playing Dungeons and Dragons and doing all that. Well, I got selected to run a game and be a dungeon master, and it's a paid position. So
I've noticed that you've been getting a lot of emails from Dungeons and Dragons and something.
Yep, D&D Gaming Hall. Yeah,
that's it.
Yep, and I'm going to start next week.
So you're going to be a paid dungeon. So you are a professional dungeon master.
I will be. But this is my first one, so it's going to be crazy because I'm getting kind of thrown into the mix. So, but yeah.
What do you all think?
But I do like nerdy stuff.
It's a referee.
I basically run the story. I run the story.
Are you familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, Dale?
No, never. I've heard of it, but never played it in my life. No interest.
It's actually really fun. It's a good way to de-stress and escape the realities of craziness.
Basically, David creates a story that other people participate in, and they figure out what they're going to do by like rolling die and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they figure out what they're going to do, and then they get into situations. Yeah, we resolve it with combat or diplomacy or whatever, and we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
It's interactive. It's an interactive game.
Right. Very, very role-playing game. It is a board game, but you like participate, and some people go as far as even like dressing up and what's called LARPing, so live action role-playing. Where you go basically beat the crap out of each other with foam swords. So I'm down with it.
I used to do it too. I used to do LARP too.
I've never LARPed. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I was into Magic the Gathering for a long, long time whenever I lived in Pensacola. So it's close. Magic is more like a card game though, instead of an actual board game. But anyway, guys, we are starting to get questions coming in. So let's go to them. So BJ asks, what is everyone's craziest book of the Bible? Or, and this correlates with that, what do y'all think is the craziest book in the Bible or Apocrypha? Now, I'm assuming BJ means Apocrypha, what we would call deuterocanonical in the Orthodox Church. Or are you saying like Apocrypha as in the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Peter, like Nag Hammadi? Like, what's our category here? Because there's a lot. So let me know on that. But David, do you want to start this one out?
Well, I think my craziest book would have to be between Jonah and Job as the craziest, because just a lot of crazy things happen. Jonah, for the fact that we don't know what happens to him underneath that tree at the end. We don't know where his life kind of goes from there. So it's that open book that leads you to, did this guy go this route or that route? And it can present you all sorts of scenarios, right? But he was a little bitter under that tree, but yeah. And then Job, for what he went through and how God responds, right? Which is in depth and has creation and reality all just strewn together in God's response. I just think is really, really wild to me. But yeah, as far as the Apocrypha goes, depending on what you mean by that, I would say for some, it would be the Book of Enoch, because it's got some wild stories in there. So I would say that, even though I know I wouldn't consider it an Apocrypha because it was written in the span of over like 300 years. So, but I do like the history of the Maccabees and the war there. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that's where I would go with that.
I would say that I definitely was thinking Enoch as an apocryphal work. Now, what I mean by Enoch is I think it's the first 37, 39 chapters that seem to have been written by one author all at once. But I definitely agree with David that the Book of Enoch, in which we have it now, has been written by multiple authors for sure. With that being said, I think Fourth Ezra would be my go-to on crazy, and depending on how you're defining that, BJ, I think Fourth Ezra is very interesting in the sense that there are messianic prophecy in Fourth Ezra. Now, depending on the date that it was written, if it was written before Jesus' time, then there is definite messianic prophecy in Fourth Ezra. If it was not, then obviously it's Christian reinterpolation of Jewish literature. So I lean, and I like to think that it's before, for other reasons than just wanting it to be. But I really like Fourth Ezra. It's one of my favorite pseudepigraphal works that we have, and I think it's a fun ride. I think it's interesting. It keeps your attention for sure. Whenever it comes to the Bible, I mean, the most craziest book, definitely Revelation, for me. Because there are more than one interpretation it could have. It's not like a gospel. It's not like a parable where Jesus, it can have, layers of interpretation. No. This kind of literature goes beyond that. And so Revelation is definitely, like biblical canon that we're talking about, Revelation's definitely my go-to for the quote-unquote craziest. So, Dale?
Yeah, so the way I'm interpreting craziest in the traditional sense of the word, I'm surprised none of you guys said this, but the obvious choice is the Book of Revelation. Like, that's literally what
I just said that, Dale.
Okay, well, I was okay.
Not listening.
Well, it's hard when I'm doing a million.
You're good, bro. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but yeah, Revelation is the thing I find the hardest book to understand and to read and make sense of and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like Jonah, that doesn't sound crazy to me. Like, yeah, just we don't find out what he did, but that isn't crazy per se. I don't think. Like, I would just.
It makes you go down the rabbit hole.
It spurs craziness, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my answer: is the Book of Revelation.
I agree. So I agree with BJ on this one. So I say Ezekiel. Poop cooking, wall digging in the spirit transportation, willy cherubim, then God has the most judging and harsh language. That is very true. Also, to go right along with Ezekiel, we have got, our honorable mentions for me anyway would be definitely Jude and 2 Peter. I think they're right along that category. But yeah, Ezekiel, that's a whenever you got like the atheistic and secular scholars saying that, an author of the book of the Bible had like a mental condition, then yeah, that you're going to be up for a pretty interesting ride whenever it comes to that. So yeah, I agree, BJ. All right. So with that being said, Dustin, our last question for the night. Unless somebody else has something, I've still got 4 minutes, y'all. We can rock a couple more questions if we want to. Hey, and we did get one, so we'll go quick with this, and then we'll get to this last question from James. Has anyone else read Theistic Evolution by J.P. Moreland and others? It's against theistic evolution and a confusing title. I've never read the book, so I don't have any say about the book per se, but I do have big issues with theistic evolution, and definitely don't hold to it. So I can go into why in a different episode, but no, I think theistic evolution's for the crows.
Nope, I don't actually have any opinion on it because I haven't read the actual book. JP does a lot of great work, and I've read a lot of his stuff, but I haven't frequented that one. I usually leave the evolution and stuff to scientists and not philosophers. So I really like going into that with like, the hard sciences and stuff like that. So I know Dale is going to be like, what? But yeah.
What?
Yes.
I didn't hear what you said, but cool. Sorry. What did you want? What are my questions?
The question is, has anybody else read Theistic Evolution by J.P. Moreland and others? It's against theistic evolution, and it's a confusing title.
I have not read it, but yeah, like I would agree with J.P. Moreland. I would assume against theistic evolution. I don't think that I think there needs to be special creation at certain stages on an old Earth view and that sort of thing. So I'm more in line with Bill Dembski rather than Michael Behe type. So yeah, and I think that obviously the Bible's saying human beings were a special creation in terms of their soul, and yeah, that's what I have to say.
Cool. All right, last one. Hey guys, what's your view on end times? Pre-mill, all-mill, post-mill? Dale, I'll let you go with this one first.
I am
second.
All-millennial. No,
really?
Yeah.
We're all three all-millennialists. Okay.
An all-mill guy, yep.
Well, there you go, James. We're all three all-millennialists, and maybe here, I don't think we really have time to get into it right now, but I'll just say from the Orthodox Church's view on things, we are historic all-millennialists. So now I think there is a case that could be made for historic premillennialism, but I think the case for all-millennialism, is a little bit better. So
there you go.
All right. He said, so Dustin said, I can recommend reading the book if you want some excellent arguments against theistic evolution. Absolutely. For sure. Thank you for that, brother. All right. So that wraps up our 10th open mic. We've done more open mics in the past, but we started cataloging them a little while back, and we have now hit our 10th one. So thank you all for being a part of that. And I know, so with going back to the eschatology question real quick, I know we all on Faith Unaltered, it's just our host here right now, hold to all millennialism. I know Dane is post-millennial, and I don't know what Josh is off the top of my head. I don't know. He might be all millennial, but he seems more like a historic premill guy to me. But Josh, if you're in the chat, let us know where you stand. but I know Dane for sure is a post-millennial guy, so we're going to have to change his mind here soon.
Yeah, well, that's just one more thing he's wrong in.
That's just one more thing he's wrong in. That's true. That is very true. All right, but with all that being said, we thank you all those who participated in this episode, and all those who did not. Thank you all for watching and supporting us just by being here. So we really appreciate that. We ask that y'all would continue to pray for each of us individually and as a group as well. We pray that our ministry takes off, that we do a good job representing Christianity and God in the way in which glorifies him. That's always the prayer that I pray before we go live, that our shows would honor and glorify God, and not hurt or hinder the building of the kingdom. And so that's why we try to really engage, and especially engage differences with clarity and charity. So we want to, even if we disagree, because there are things that the host here disagree with, but we try to do that with love and compassion, because that's the way we think Jesus did it as well. And so sometimes the truth hurts, and we have to act like that, but we don't sugarcoat the truth, and we all stand for what we believe in, and that's mainly why I respect the guys that I work with here. So David, Dale, thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight on this whim, this open mic whim. And again, if you would like to support our ministry, again, please pray for us. That's the main way you can support our ministry. But also, if you'd like to financially help us out, we take Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or you can donate to us via the YouTube super chats and super stickers. And the way that you do that is at the bottom of your video, you see a $sign, click the $sign, and then you can follow the on-screen instructions from that point. It's a couple clicks, and you've donated to our ministry. And so we thank you for everybody for doing that. David, any last words?
No, guys, just remember we got we do have Clay Jones coming up soon, and next week we have, what do we have next week, Ty?
William Lane Craig. Yes. Dr. William Lane Craig is coming on April the 26th at 4 p.m. This is going to be a Real Seeker, so Dale is going to join us, but a Real Seeker and Faith Unaltered collab episode. So definitely catch that, because we're going to be talking about the philosophy of time with Dr. Craig, and it's going to be a fun one. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Yep, the problem of evil we'll be talking about with or why does God allow evil with Dr. Clay Jones, who is also a professor at Biola. And yeah, it's going to be a great one.
Autism Girl, check that out, because I hope you're still here. So you definitely want to. She was asking us earlier, why does God allow, different people to be different, right? In the sense of medical conditions, in the sense of other things like that. And so you definitely want to check out that episode with Dr. Clay Jones. It's going to be a ride. It's going to be good.
Yep, and it's I'm in talks with Trent Doherty too on animal suffering. So we're going to be talking about that up the road. But 2 weeks of scholarship, guys. 2 weeks of scholars. Good scholars coming on to talk on Faith Unaltered and Real Seekers.
Absolutely. And then also on the 30th, for Faith Unaltered, we have the 30th, April 30th at 7 p.m. We've got your man that's off to the left of me is Dale Glover. We will be talking about the Quran, and specifically the crucifixion, the way the Quran represents and presents, I should say, the crucifixion of Christ. We're going to be breaking that down and hopefully debunking it. Debunking one or two views of it, I should say. That's a better accurate representation. And then also...
Thank you, Linda.
Absolutely. Thank you for the $2 super chat. That's how you super chat right there, y'all. So if you want to know, that's it. But thank you, Linda, for that. And then
one thing I should say before you move on. Okay, you go ahead. I'll say my thing after.
Go ahead.
It's related to what you were just saying. So after April 30th, when I give my presentation on the Islamic view on the crucifixion, I just got confirmation today. Tyler and Dane know about this, but we will be bringing on one of the world's experts, Islamic apologist, and my friend, Dr.
Zakir Naik. No, I'm just kidding. The good one.
Dr. Shabir Ali, someone who's actually scholarly here. And we're going to be discussing this sometime in May on a subsequent show we're still working out the date and time. So I'm going to give kind of my solo presentation, but then we're going to bring on Shabir Ali to have a discussion, because I think we need the Islamic perspective to consider. I want to see that Christianity can stand up to it's the truth. It can stand up to the best proponents from the other side. So yeah, that'll be sometime in May.
Yes, absolutely. And so what got that started was Dane and I were talking about Three Crowns and the direction we want to take that show in. And Dane has been thinking for a long time now to start engaging with Islam and Muslims, Muslim apologists that represent Islam. I said, well, let's start. Like, why not? And so the first thing, it was interesting because the way this started was I'm assuming a Muslim person commented on one of her videos. He said that Jesus did not die. I said, okay, what's your evidence for that? And he quoted Surah, I think it's, what Dale is it? What is it, Dale? Surah 4:157?
Yeah, Ayah's verse 157, I guess. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And so we had the comment. That's what started this. And so now, not only are we having Dr. William Lane Craig, not only are we having Dr. David Bradshaw back on, but we're also going to be having Dr. Shabir Ali to join us for a conversation about the crucifixion, specifically in the Quran. And so I'm looking forward to Dane and Shabir and Dale really engaging with that. I'll probably be playing more of moderator on that one, and it's not going to be a formal debate, but rather a informal discussion between the two. And hopefully Dr. Shabir will, recognize that, we're not just trying to beat up on him, that we're here to really have a good conversation and engage with two different worldviews. Hopefully that will set up a formal debate between Dr. Shabir and I'm thinking Dane at this point. I know he wants to engage at that level. And so Dale and I and David, if you want to jump in on that moderation conversation. But with that being said, so we also have on May the 3rd is Clay Jones, as David said. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. On the 7th, on Three Crowns, so we've had to change this a couple different times now, but the 7th, CJ Cox is coming on Three Crowns. That's May the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern time to discuss simple foreknowledge. May the 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Warren McGrew and Dr. Alan Rhoda back on to discuss the scriptural evidence for dynamic omniscience. Then on the 13th, so this is we got a lot of shows coming up, guys. May the 13th, that's a Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm bringing on Father John Whiteford, Dr. Bo Branson, and the two guys from Method Ministries. So the backstory, I'll short and sweeten this. Method Ministries released a justification episode refuting Eastern Orthodoxy. Josh Sherman and I did a response video to that. They did another response video. And I said, look, guys, we're not going to do endless response videos back and forth. Let's set up a conversation and have an informal discussion about this. They agreed. And so I got my godfather, Dr. Bo Branson, and Father John Whiteford, both who have been on the show before, to come on and discuss with Method Ministries the topic of justification. Then on May the 17th, the interview that I'm looking forward to the most, we're going to have Dr. David Bradshaw back on at 7 p.m. Eastern time to discuss William Lane Craig's view of philosophy of time. And so there's going to be a lot of overlap between that. And then we're also going to be discussing God's relationship with time and his knowledge of free will creatures specifically. And so a lot of overlap between the William Lane Craig episode and the Dr. David Bradshaw episode, one from a Protestant, it's not like, this wouldn't be considered, William Lane Craig's views wouldn't be considered Molinistic in the sense of we're talking about time, right? Is that fair?
Well,
or are they
relevant in the sense of like God's relationship to time? Like, how does he know future facts or facts related to creaturely freedom? So it could come up in that sense, I would say.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So there will be a little bit. But yeah, from the Molinistic position and the Protestant position, or a Protestant position, I should say, and then from the Orthodox position as well. So 2 different episodes kind of going back and forth there. So other than that, though, I think that's about it, unless there's something else that y'all got planned that I don't know about. Champion, you're a little bit late to the show. We've been going for about 2 hours now. Our apologies, but we're wrapping up. But I would love to have you email me your questions, and we will definitely address them in a later show. And so thank you for showing up. Linda asked, when is Warren McGrew's show? That is going to be May the 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So other than that, guys, you got anything else before I close this out? David's good. Dale?
So before the William Lane Craig episode, I do have a couple shows I'll be posting probably tomorrow. So I just received, I was on Great Light Studios. We're friends with Jordan Hatfield. And he posted up a show on the Shroud of Turin. So autism, I don't know if Autism Girl's still here, probably not. But if you re-listen to this and you're interested in evidence, like why believe Christianity is true, one of the evidences, in addition to the historical evidence for the resurrection, is the scientific evidence for Jesus' resurrection from the Shroud of Turin. And I was actually on it's 3.5 hours is what Jordan posted up. On my channel on Real Seekers, I have got a whole bunch of shows from the experts on the Shroud of Turin, but I'm going to be posting up the unedited, raw 4.5 hour version of that. So that's with me and Teddy Pappas, but there's a lot of great information on specific topics like the medical findings, rigor mortis, including citing a 150-year study proving that Jesus could have been in rigor mortis after the 39th hour, and paint, stuff like that. So that full thing will be posted, and then on Monday, I'm going to be on Kevin Non-Tradicast's channel, again, talking about the Shroud, kind of related to the anatomy and stuff like that. So those are the 2 shows I have that are coming up before Dr. William Lane Craig on Friday next week.
Awesome. I can answer this question real quick. I don't know what Sulu Man 15:3 is, but why does the loving Jesus allow me to unalive infants, sucklings, and women during war? He doesn't. Jesus never said kill anybody, or unalive anyone. Instead, love your neighbor, treat others as you would have them treat you, do unto others as you would want done unto you. That's Jesus's message, not to kill. So I don't know.
And love your enemies.
Yeah, love your enemies, forgive, those things. So
right.
I really don't know what you're talking about. But email me the rest of your question. We'll address them in a show. So with that being said, y'all, good night. God bless, and stay like
not like
Christ. Not like David. Not like David Russell. Good night, y'all. We love you. Stay like Christ.